He anagrams faster than a speeding bullet. As powerful as the rack, nastier. Able to use the Q without the U. Look, there by the Scrabble board. It's a savant. It's a maven. It's Letterman. Yes, it's Letterman, strange competitor from another dimension who lives in Orange County, California, with powers and abilities developed beyond those of most men and women. Letterman, who can find a legal word on most every rack, find playable bingos during most every game, and who, disguised as Gary Moss, mild-mannered director of Club 350, propagates the entries of the Owl 2 in the interests of word competition, community, and the American way.
Hi again. Thanks for coming back. This is my 4th episode of Letterman. Today we're going to be talking about something that everybody asks for sooner or later. When do you keep the tiles on your rack? And when do you let them go? I have to tell you that there is a rule that the experts have. Do not fall in love with your tiles. Do not fall in love with your tiles. I watched one player the other day who kept complaining that all they were getting were vowels. Well, as I stood back and I watched, they had 5 vowels on each of 2 consecutive racks. And each time they were playing off their 2 consonants. What do you expect? If you don't manage your rack, if you fall in love with your tiles and you stay with them, things are usually not going to get better on their own. Racks get better because we manage them properly. So let's take a look at some really ugly racks, and maybe I can give you a suggestion or two of what you might do to improve your rack management when it happens to you.
You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
Part of winning is knowing what to do when you get an ugly rack like this one. There isn't really anything great about this rack. We need to exchange tiles. I recommend to exchange the A, U, O, and W, leaving ACI as my leave. It at least is a decent leave to draw to. With this rack, you would play pub or bug. Another option would be to just exchange all 7 tiles and start anew. The expert thing to do here would be possibly to keep an L or an EL and exchange all the other tiles. Novice players might be tempted to play a small 2-letter word, but that really wouldn't improve your rack. If you haven't figured it out yet, this was a bit of a trick question. How many of you would have traded? Actually, there's a bingo on this rack. Nunnish, N-U-N-N-I-S-H. If you would have found it, it would have been worth more than 70 points.
Remember, there's nothing wrong with trading tiles. That's one of the ways we improve our racks and we end up with bingos on our racks. Make sure that you look for the possible bingos before you decide that your rack is not any good, like in the rack Nunnish. At first glance, it looks like a terrible rack, but you have to move the tiles around, and sometimes it'll come up. And there are many other times when you miss words like that because it's not in your vocabulary. We don't know what we don't know. Have a great week and come back next week for another lesson from Letterman. Goodbye.
You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's